What's going on, guys? It's Adam P, and welcome back to more Newcastle United transfer news. Someone has a narrative against Newcastle United this summer. The second we get any positive news on social media regarding Alexander Isak, and the second it looks like to the footballing world that Newcastle has control of the situation regarding Alexander Isak. We get this from several media outlets the morning after the news, and now once again it looks like Newcastle does not have control of the situation. This is not a coincidence. Someone out there, either on the Liverpool end or on Alexander Isak's end, is now continuing to go against Newcastle and is now looking to continue pushing and forcing this Liverpool move. Someone is working against our football club, and we are here in this video to get to the bottom of it. If you guys are new around here, make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button, join the journey, and make sure you don't miss out on any upcoming content, because this saga and our transfer window will have a lot more life to it. It is nowhere near over, so you don't want to miss any breaking news, and we're going to get straight to this now. My opinion and what I think is happening here, I stand by a strong message towards the agent of Alexander Isak. I think this is the agent written all over it. And the reason why I say that, when you look at the agency of Isak and when you look at the clients they've got, Isak is by far their greatest ever client, and not just greatest ever client, also their money ticket. That is exactly the sort of client they want. You are talking a British transfer record fee this summer if he leaves to join Liverpool. So for the agency company, they want to sell Isak because they're going to get new clients in. They'll be able to get a ridiculous amount of money, and they'll be able to get their face and get their name across the footballing world. And if he also goes to Liverpool, which by the way has been quoted as his dream move, if he goes to Liverpool for the cheapest possible value, £150 million price tag, if he goes to Liverpool, let's say £120 million, the agency will also get connections with Liverpool, because of course Liverpool will certainly come back for future transfers with this agency company because of how easy and how well orchestrated this move has been for them. So when you look at the entire situation, I reckon it is heavily agent driven. And what surprises me is the news itself. This information is not new, while it is new in the media sense because it's been reported on social media for the first time. This is information that is from match week 36. It's actually been quoted in the article by Austin that Alexander Isak actually told Newcastle United, I want out this summer on match week 36. And just to put that into context, by the way, we did not qualify to the Champions League until match week 38, which we almost missed out, by the way, because we lost both of our remaining games and Aston Villa was unable to close the gap. That's the only reason we're even in the Champions League. And this is a football player which has now been quoted by journalists who wanted out before Arsenal away. I mean, are you joking me? We are literally in a Champions League push, and you got reports that a player does not want to be here and is telling Eddie Howe before the two remaining games that he wants to leave this summer. I mean, surely this is not true. But then when you look at the agent side of it, why would Isak's agent tell the journalist this? Because, well, that's not exactly good information about his client. I know he's trying to get the Liverpool move, but that's incredibly damaging information for your client, because I mean, that doesn't exactly make Isak look good, and especially for any football club. Hell, even Liverpool, the team that wants him, they look at that kind of information. Would they want to put £150 million down to sign Isak, a player who has been openly stated here to be wanting to leave football clubs during the season? Why would Liverpool do that? I'm sure Liverpool will look at this, and even Liverpool fans, you take your excitement away from this transfer saga. Do you want a player that is willing to just say at Liverpool, you know what? For a year's time, I'm going to tell you during the season that I want to move to Real Madrid. I want to move to Barcelona, because that's not an attitude you want with any player. And even Dominic Skurs gave a good example from years ago, an alleged example where Kieran Dyer was contacting Alex Ferguson about going to Manchester United. And the second he told Alex Ferguson that I am willing to do anything to join your football club, Ferguson slammed the phone down. And to be fair, that's the right mentality, because again, in a Liverpool point of view, why would you want a player who is not willing to play for Newcastle during the season, last two remaining games? And to be honest, the performances he had these last two games as well indicates that this is true. I mean, it actually indicates that this is a reality, which is I mean, truly baffling. It is truly baffling now. I've said in my video earlier today, I've said throughout this summer, two things need to happen to approve an Isak sale. One, we need the replacements to come in at Newcastle. Where are the replacements? Because we haven't even signed Johan Wissa yet, who, by the way, is a Callum Wilson replacement. We haven't even replaced Callum Wilson yet, never mind Alexander Isak. 3 weeks left of the transfer window to go. And when you look at our transfer targets, I mean, the Porto striker yesterday bagged the brace. After he scored the first goal, he's pointing at himself and pointing down, going, I want to stay. He's telling the Porto fans, like, this celebration yesterday, that's clearly a player who does not want to leave this summer. And that's clearly a player Newcastle is likely not going to get after missing out on Benjamin Sesko. So who is left? We're not going to sign Nicholas Jackson. No way Nicholas Jackson comes in alongside Johan Wissa. Both players, of course, in the African Cup of Nations. There's no one left. 3 weeks left of the transfer window. Newcastle will not sell Alexander Isak without the replacements, and there are no replacements. We're currently not looking to bring that striker in. There's no options and no realistic links out there currently that suggest that Newcastle is looking to bring that option in. So that's the first problem Liverpool has. The second one's the price. Newcastle have continued to stay £150 million. They are not going to back down from that price. I don't think that changes. Now, I would even say now, especially in Isak's point of view, considering the World Cup is next summer, is the player seriously prepared to just sit in Newcastle's reserves all season long with the World Cup coming up? The player can say, if this is true, the player can say all he wants that I do not want to play for Newcastle United again. If Newcastle United just straight up just go, no, you're not going to go this summer, we're going to force you to stay, what's the player going to do? Is the player seriously going to sit in the reserves? I don't think so. I think the most likely outcome of this entire situation, Isak gets a pay rise. Mental, I know it is mental, but Isak gets, let's say, £250,000 a week and then gets that release clause next summer. So Liverpool, there you are, £120 million next summer. That is it, guaranteed to secure the deal if you want to put that kind of money down. That's what Isak's going to accept. And I would actually say now, I think it's likely and I think it is possible, and I will continue to say it is still more likely that Isak stays at Newcastle United this summer, despite the incredibly negative and very bad reports about Alexander Isak this morning. You have to look at it with the evidence. Why would Isak leave Newcastle now? Because we're running out of time. No options that came in for Callum Wilson, never mind Alexander Isak. So why would we sell Isak to Liverpool? Why would we do that? We haven't got a striker. And even if we don't have a striker going this season, Isak, unless he puts a transfer request in, and unless he seriously goes against Newcastle, which, to be fair to the guy, he's certainly been more on side since we got back from Asia. It's not like Alexander Isak is still in Spain. He hasn't returned to Newcastle. He has returned to Newcastle. He has clearly had a conversation with Eddie Howe. And while he is training by himself at the training ground, he is at the training ground. That is evidence. Like, the player is at least still at Newcastle. And while you could say, well, Adam, knows his job, he has to get paid to be at the training ground. But well, you look at the Asia tour, he wasn't at the training ground, was he? During that Asia tour, when Eddie Howe wasn't there, and when the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund weren't there, Isak and his agents certainly gained confidence, and they certainly were looking to push their luck when Liverpool were actually putting a real bid in. And while it was £110 million, that was real interest they put in during the Asia tour. But I reckon, especially since the Asia tour has ended, he's came back with Eddie Howe now there every single day. I reckon he's lost his ego. Clearly not as confident anymore. He is clearly more cooperative since Newcastle has got back. And now that the Public Investment Fund is fully looking in on Isak, I don't think he has that confidence anymore. I think he's holding his cards, and I still think, in the player's point of view, hasn't fully burnt his bridges. I've always been quite vocal and quite negative towards Isak as a player, but has he actually burnt all his bridges at Newcastle? Howe clearly wants him back. He still is at the training ground actually training while he's not with the team. He is at Newcastle United facilities, and he's still a player that's in the round there, and he's still a player that Eddie Howe can talk to on a daily basis. It's still a player that is there. It's a weird one, because while it has been reported heavily across the footballing world that he wants out, he will do everything to get out, has he actually done everything to get out of Newcastle? Because there's no transfer request there. He's still a player that is at our training ground. He's still a player that is a contracted Newcastle player that is there. It's a weird scenario, but certainly someone behind the scenes is playing up a narrative. Someone there wants him gone. Whether that's his agent, whether that's Liverpool representatives, Someone is playing up to the media and someone is giving the media information at the correct time. Again, this information you're talking from last season that has been purposely held back from the journalists and then delivered to the journalists at the correct time. When it looks like on social media, Isak has a chance to stay, someone is working and playing against Newcastle now, and it's so obvious to see now. Someone out there is playing up this narrative. Now, Ben Jacobs put out an interesting report before, and this is someone that Liverpool fans like quite a lot, by the way. But he's claiming if it's impossible for Liverpool to secure the signing of Alexander Isak this summer, his stance will change. Now, that's interesting. That tells me that there's actually a way back, and that does tell me that even though, especially for more Liverpool-based journalists who's going to be quite positive towards their football club, that tells me there's a real chance of Isak coming back. It does. I don't think realistically now Isak's going to go and then this striker's going to come in. But then the flip side, realistically, will Isak come back into the squad and play and behave like nothing has happened? Again, it's a very tight and hard balance to do. And I'm always a fan. I've said it in so many videos. I still think selling Alexander Isak is the best thing we can do this summer. But if we can't replace Alexander Isak, we can't get that high-level striker in, why sell him and why let him go to Liverpool? Because that does not make us look good. That makes us look incredibly weak, if anything, especially we just hand Isak over to Liverpool after all the weeks and months at this point of this transfer saga. Newcastle ownership, the longer this goes on, the longer they're going to put their foot down. I think Liverpool's real chance was during the Asia tour. If they had a chance during that Asia tour, they could have put a serious bid in, but that £110 million bid was just so insulting to our ownership, where they just kind of laughed it up and essentially insulted our football club, because we said £150 million and they went £40 million under that. And stop again with this British transfer record crap. That's not how it works. Like, we signed Alexander Isak for £62 million from Real Sociedad. We did not sign Alexander Isak for £22 million. That's not how it works. I don't care if this £110 million bid is a record-breaking transfer bid or whatever. It's £40 million under what we asked. No signing in world football do you get in for £40 million less than what the football club has requested. You are never ever doing that. And stop with this £110 million bid. It's clearly an insulting bid that is designed to rattle Newcastle behind the scenes. Liverpool knew that bid was never going to be accepted. So stop with this bias, because Liverpool clearly had no intention with that bid. And finally, there's a continued narrative on social media that Newcastle is going to offer encouragement to Liverpool. No, we are not. Why would we encourage Liverpool? No chance. Eddie Howe has said, I want to keep the player. That was the manager's word. He's kept the door open. He has continued to stay. I want Alexander Isak at Newcastle. Why would Newcastle offer Liverpool encouragement? We would never ever do that. Why would our ownership go, Liverpool, you can buy him? We're never going to do that. No business and no football club would realistically do that. Newcastle is in a position of control, whether you like that or not. Newcastle still has control of the situation. Isak is the one who is going to mess up his career. And while Newcastle, yes, we could actually just keep him in the reserves this season in the most ridiculous scenario. But we could still sell him next summer. We would still get over £100 million from next summer. I still reckon next summer you're getting around 120 for him. So when you look at the chance now, why would Isak mess up his career? And why would Isak mess up his chance at the World Cup next summer? We aren't in a position where we desperately need to sell a player. We can get Whistle in. And while we still need that second striker, what's stopping Newcastle from just keeping this player? What is stopping us from just keeping them and selling him next summer? Because, well, realistically, Newcastle can wait out 12 months. I think we can. Yes, we can get more money for him now, but why Liverpool? Why would we let him go to Liverpool? You have to understand our point of view. We're a business and we're trying to make this football club better. And our project needs to look strong for new players coming in. What a statement and what a message this would be to the rest of our players and to the footballing world, that if a player will refuse to play for Newcastle, we won't let him play. He'll sit in the reserves and he'll train with the under-21s. I mean, imagine that statement in the footballing world. Alexander Isak training with the under-21s. Imagine how good Eddie Howe and the ownership will look by actually doing that, by making sure a player who has thrown his dummy out of the pram could not get away with it. And while Liverpool fans would go, what, he could have got more money, you look bad doing this. No, we don't. We don't look bad at all. we look bad if we then let him go to Liverpool this summer for £120 million and just throw the towel in and go, well, oh, we don't want to deal with him anymore. And again, I say I want to sell Isak. If we get an opportunity now and you guys actually put £150 million down, I would straight up say you can have him. But Liverpool haven't done that. They haven't shown real interest in signing Isak this summer. And I don't think they will, because again, in Liverpool's point of view, they need to sign a centre-half. They need to sort other areas out. They don't desperately need Isak. I think you guys will win the league title without Isak this season. So when you look at the situation now, Liverpool doesn't want to put £150 million down. Newcastle won't sell for less. So you've got two teams that aren't going to budge. And every day we get closer and closer and closer until the transfer window closes. Why would either team change their stance unless Isak puts that transfer request in, loses his loyalty bonuses when he joins Liverpool, unless the player actually has the nerve and really shows that he wants to go to Liverpool, because this is still a player that's going to the training ground and acting as if nothing has happened. Still a player that seems to be behaving with Newcastle. So why would we change our stance and why would Liverpool change their stance? Both teams are just staying like this. So why would one team move? No team needs to move. Newcastle can stay like this. Liverpool can stay like this. And you Liverpool fans watching this video won't like me saying this, but Liverpool doesn't need to move and Newcastle doesn't need to move. So why would this deal happen? It's not going to happen. I think it's that simple now. And I was very confident a couple of weeks ago that I would have went the opposite way. And there still is an active transfer. Of course, again, Liverpool puts that money in, you secure the deal, Liverpool will get that deal, but they haven't done that. It is still dragging on, and it's going to continue to drag on. And unless Newcastle gets those replacements in, which does not look like it's going to happen, I don't see this move happening. I honestly don't. And I think Isak stays at Newcastle, whether he likes it or not. Liverpool have not shown the encouragement to get this player in. So you can continue to act up all he wants, but Newcastle won't go to fall for it. We're not going to mess around. Eddie Howe's not going to mess around. And I think Eddie Howe always says that media nice man. I reckon behind the scenes he is strong. I really feel like behind the scenes he's got a bite to him. He's a bit of a nasty manager, perhaps, when the cameras aren't rolling around him. He's a manager that's not going to mess around. He's not going to play for Isak's crap. And he either come back into the team or you'll sit in the reserves. That's the stance Newcastle's going to have now. They're not going to put with it. And Liverpool, unless the money is there, they're not going to get him this smart. Message is nice and clear. And speaking of David Orsteed, he's now claiming that Jacob Ramsey is a legitimate option for Newcastle at the beginning of this summer. And I've always said this, between any sale or any signing between Newcastle and Aston Villa, I don't see why Aston Villa would let him go to us. If there's several teams there, which sounds like it may be, why would Villa sell Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle? We are a direct competitive rival for them. We are the reason they did not get into the Champions League last season. So why would they bolster our squad and why would they make our squad better? I just don't get that, unless we were the only team that's there, which doesn't sound like it's the case. So I'm still adamant in my claim. I still back that claim all summer long. I don't see Aston Villa selling to Newcastle if they've got other options there, because we just aren't the team they should be selling to, and that's the exact same for us. We should not be selling players to Aston Villa, and that's just the way things are going to be currently, of how close and neck and neck the two teams are to each other. But I hope you guys enjoy watching. Let me know your opinions down below on this entire saga and everything that's going on, because it's still a saga that continues to go back and forth and back and forth. But I think there was someone in the media really playing up to this. There's someone in the media that is doing everything in their power to force this Isak to Liverpool move, even though behind the scenes it is not as close as media suggests it to be. Breaking news, I am already done with my video. I was ready to start uploading it. You can see the decorations are down, and yet Martin Hardy has just posted an exclusive article claiming that Alexander Isak has now moved out of his house in Newcastle, awaiting a transfer and attempting to force this move to Liverpool. What are you doing? You are a contracted Newcastle United player. You can move out of your house all you want. That's not going to change anything. So I'm telling you now, go back into that house. You put all the stuff out in the van. You take the stuff out of the van. You put them back into the house, because you're not going anywhere until Newcastle United sanction that move. You can move out. You can do all the things you want in your personal life. But Newcastle United will not ploy and will not be forced to cooperate with this ridiculous behaviour. His agent and him. The footballing world is now starting to wake up, so you can continue to play all these games all you want. Opposition fans are saying this now. It's not us anymore. It's not a Newcastle United thing. Opposition fans across the world are now saying this is too far. The player has been disgraceful in this situation. And Liverpool fans watching this video, do not defend that. seriously do not defend that, because this is going to be your player, by the way. This is going to be your problem, whether that be this season or next season. At some point, Isak will be a Liverpool player, and this is your problem to deal with. Tell me now you want to put £150 million down to get him in, because I'm telling you, Liverpool will not put that money down, and Newcastle will not fall for this. He'll either be a part of the reserves next season, or you'll be a Newcastle United player if we do not get the replacements in, and if we do not get the suitable price for him. We're not going to stand for this. This is a joke. You can put the stuff out of your house all you want. You can move out of your house. I don't even know where you're going to go now, but wherever you go next, you can do all you want in terms of moving out of your property. You can take the stuff out, put that stuff back in, because you're not going anywhere until we sanction this move. And this is like an episode of Hollyoaks now. I mean, this is honestly soap opera. Well, how are houses and properties being involved with this transfer saga? It's mental. Him and his agent should be ashamed of themselves. Seriously, hang your heads in shame, because this is a joke. And I mean, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. We're not going to put up with this. You either sit in the reserves this season, or you be a part of our squad if Newcastle United is unable to sanction this move to Liverpool, because we're not going to be bullied out of this money, and we're not going to be bullied out of this deal. We helped you. We were the ones that brought you in from Real Sociedad. We were the ones that nurtured you, and we were the ones that helped you become the player that you are now. This is disgraceful. It seriously is, and everyone's starting to realise that now. And Liverpool fans, do not come on this video in my comment section and defend that, because that is indefensible. That is truly a first for me. Unbelievable. But yeah, you can take all the stuff out. Listen, it's going to go back in the house, whether you like it or not. We buy a new house in Newcastle, you can put the stuff in the new house, because it's certainly not going to Liverpool, because you ain't going to put a property down there, because you haven't left this football club yet. So you can buy all the properties you want across this country. But until Newcastle United sanction that move to Liverpool, you are a Newcastle United player. So unless you don't want to be paid at Newcastle, and unless you don't want this move, you're going to have to cooperate, and you're going to have to do it when Newcastle says so, because we're not going to continue to be bullied out by him and his agent. It's disgraceful behaviour.